This is actually an argument that in the past they used for human slaves.
My parents own a farm. I think that slavery is a very different issue.
Killed yourself? Is that good treatment? Awesome, thank you so much for watching that. I know it can be hard. How did that make you feel watching this?
My parents own a farm, and I think they were just like really rough with the animals. That's not very... I shouldn't be doing that.
I'm a really big fan of chickens, so that made me sad.
Yeah, like particularly the chickens, they were like throwing them around and stuff.
All animals end up in the same slaughterhouse, and a lot of the footage actually, which is shocking to a lot of people, is from humane practices and standard practices. But what we're trying to do here, like we're vegan, so a lot of people think it's just a diet, when really it's the stance against all animal exploitation and slavery. So that means if they're treated okay, or if they're not, really it doesn't really matter to us in that sense. Have you ever had a strong connection to another animal?
Yeah. Yeah, since I like grew up on a farm, a lot of like the sheep I liked, but not a lot. They don't like killed or anything, so.
I don't live on a farm or anything, but we always have had chickens in our neighborhood. We treat them like pets. I really like them all. I'm very attached to them.
All right, have you ever had a time in your life where you felt taken advantage of or overpowered?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel apart from these two things?
Just kind of like I'm at it, like don't have any control or any way to make it better sometimes.
See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So what would it take for you to reject the notion that other animals are here to serve you and to go vegan?
I guess just like seeing animals in a more like, I'm trying to say this, think of a way to say this without, like in a more like almost like humane light, like showing them, like showing when they're being treated with respect, and like just showing them when they're like on their own and with people, not people, with animals, like with like their own, with their kind, and just how they interact with other animals and stuff. Like just see them doing normal things, I feel like, outside of human captivity and everything.
Mm-hmm. So would that prevent you? Because that sounds like a vegan context. That sounds like a sanctuary.
Yeah, sorry, that didn't really make sense. I feel like because like just seeing animals and like being treated nice, like when they're more free, it makes me feel kind of bad for like taking advantage of that. And like I don't know if I'd exactly like go vegan from it, but like definitely be a lot more aware of what I'm eating. And
All right, I'm gonna ask you as well, but like I want to throw you a curveball. All right?
yeah, that doesn't make really much sense. I was just saying.
That's okay.
What
You're
came to mind.
thinking about it. That's all
Yeah.
I'm asking. I mean that, and you going vegan, but all right. So in times of chattel slavery, in the 1800s in the U.S., there were welfarists and abolitionists. So the welfarists thought that it was okay to continue slavery, owning other people, and using them as commodities if they were treated pleasantly and they didn't suffer too much. What do you think about that?
Like we are all equal.
I think that it's a little bit different because like they're humans and they have like really complex thought, and it's kind of, for like the animal aspect of it, I think it's like kind of natural for us to eat animals.
Hey guys, I didn't get a chance to respond to this. I should have interrupted them because they were piling things up and I couldn't remember everything they had mentioned, so I'm doing it now. So this is called an appeal to nature fallacy. And by the way, a lot of people use logical fallacies all the time. This happens to me as well. This is common, but it's still not right. So the appeal to nature fallacy is the logic that if something is natural, it must be good and worthy of praise. I would say to that other animals also rape each other, they eat each other's babies, etc. Also, do they have a choice and don't we? Aren't diseases natural too? Does that mean that we shouldn't treat them because they're natural and therefore good in some way? Are our computers natural? Does that mean we shouldn't use them because they're not? And what about the animals' need for freedom?
And like I don't think that they should be like treated like bad, and like my family tries to not like buy meat from like stores and stuff, and we try to just like get it ourselves, and so we know that it's like gotten in like a good
Killed yourself? Is that good treatment?
like 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 the meat that we do eat. I don't think, but yeah, I think that slavery is a very different issue because they were humans and people thought like, oh, they aren't humans because of their like race, and it's a different thing than like actual animals. But I think
It's like when like that thing that happened in Yellowstone in like the 1900s when they killed off all the wolves and then all the deer got too big. Like I mean, like it's they shouldn't be treated wrong, but I feel like it's necessary
Oh,
for.
right,
We're going on too many things at once.
Sorry, I'm like zoning
We'll
out.
talk about
Like,
this
wait.
after for sure because it's all
Yeah.
important to talk about.
But
But
like, I feel like it's different in a way that like this is something that I feel like kind of needs to happen to keep like populations even, but like definitely it sucks.
so I forgot to respond to this. Since humans are the most destructive and overpopulated species of all, does that mean it's okay to exploit or kill them? How about spaying these animals instead and reintroducing wild predators and rewilding? Also remembering that human hunters created the problem in the first place. And a lot of people don't even know that in the US there are deer farms to cater to hunters' needs. So it's not even true that they are naturally overpopulated. But anyways, that's a subject for another time, I guess. Humans keep expanding into the wilderness, into their habitats like deer's habitats and other wild animals' habitats. And then we complain that they're overpopulating when really we are. This doesn't make it ethical for us to kill them off because they're inconvenient to us. It's a similar mentality as the colonizers that would kill off indigenous populations because they wanted their land. All right. So if I were to use another person as a commodity because they are not rational, for example, what would you think about that?
that's like. Wait, I didn't like hear the question.
If I was to use someone else as a commodity because they were not rational, like it's a person who has a mental handicap, for example, what would you think about that?
That's like another human being, and I don't think you should be taking advantage of someone like that. Um, because they do have like complex thoughts, and even if they can't like express them the way you would like think, they still have them.
All right. So why do we care about animal welfare if they are not sentient, meaning they don't feel pain and they don't necessarily have like a complex, rich life? Why would you care about it, but not care about them not being free?
I think that them being free can sometimes be worse for them, and like if they have like good living conditions, like I think that's like honestly the best way they could live, because like they aren't gonna get much better places for like livestock, because like kind of just how like the world is like expanding, like they won't have that good of like food and stuff because they are, and like water.
Is that what you mean?
What?
In the wild, is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
like if they're like free like in the wild, they won't get like that type of care. And I think like they shouldn't be killed like like without reason, but like yeah.
My grandma owns a cattle ranch, and it's like they just like raise the cows, but I remember there have been many instances of like a cow being orphaned or a cow like breaking its leg, and like or like there was also a time when they escaped, and every time the animals like were put in really dangerous and like deadly situations and were only really survived through like the care of us and like us treating them and like the way they were taken care of.
Okay, so this is actually an argument that in the past they used for human slaves. They said that, yeah, and so what I'm saying is that this is the same mentality. I just don't want them to be bred into existence for them to be dependent on us, and then using that against them by exploiting their bodies. You know, when we could just go vegan, you know, and just not use them for our benefit. So yeah, and you know, like you said something, of course I totally understand, like humans and other animals, every species has their own like unique abilities and traits to them. Has there been times in the past where we have used the belonging to a certain group to discriminate against that group and harm them?
Yeah.
Um,
I appreciate your honesty. I know I'm
Yeah.
putting you on the spot, and this is a difficult conversation to have, so I appreciate you guys. If you were in their position and you were used as an object or a slave, how long would you want me to wait before I free you or stop doing that to you?
well, wait, are we talking about like animals?
If you were taking advantage like them?
Okay. Well, animals don't have that like complex of thought. Like it's much different for like slaves because they are human and they have like complex thought and they have like feelings more than like um like eat, sleep, like reproduce. They have like more than just instinct, but animals don't have like a lot more than instinct. So like if they're like getting fed, I think I don't know.
I get what you mean.
It really would for me like really depend on how I'm being treated, like the down to like really like nitty gritty details on how I'm being treated, and it's like, I mean, I probably wanted that like to be in that situation for a long time, but like if there were like certain reasons for it or like certain little like aspects of my treatment, like I might be okay with it being a little longer than like being treated like that a little longer. But even though I probably wouldn't want it that much.
Right, you would end up in the slaughterhouse and stuff like that. But anyway, so you said something about how yeah, so like like it's a big misconception that a lot of people have. I understand it because we're brought up to think that they don't have rich inner lives really, but there's a lot of studies showing that they have incredible like social ties and they have really deep emotional lives. They can plan. They are rational very often, and they feel pain, like fear, all this stuff. They need to be free. All animals do. And so, and it's also something that's interesting because it was used again against Black people in the past. That this thing of like, well, they're not really as, they don't have as much inner lives as we do, as an excuse, And again, like if you treat someone else, is it okay for you to use their bodies, even if they cannot consent?
I probably not, no, but I mean, even though it sucks to use the, yeah, we've like an excuse of like we've bred them to be like this. We have, and it's like kind of grown necessary, not just like for them to survive, but for us, like as like people to be like it takes a while to adjust to stop relying on things like that.
You
That's
think
like
we need it for health?
not really, but we don't need it, but we've kind of like grown up thinking we need it, and it does take like a while trying to like get out of that mentality, I feel like.
If you were in the position of the animal, how quickly would you need that to happen?
Pretty quick, because this is a little random, but I feel like this kind of applies to what you've been talking about. Is my friend is not vegan but vegetarian, and the reason she like quit eating meat was because of a TV show we watched where like humans were raised as food for demons, and it was like, but in that case it was they were in a pretty humane place, and it still affected her. So, and I just felt like that kind of has something to do with what you're talking about.
Exactly. And of course, we're not only talking about the flesh aspect, we're talking about, I mean, of course, fishes are often forgotten, but like wearing their skin or their fur or experimenting on them, things like that. I'm going to give you a card. I appreciate you being honest with me and taking the time. It all comes down to, at this point, like how many animals will have to be exploited and enslaved for you. There you go. Are you friends? Are you able to maybe just have one card? I think. Yeah. Oh, also, this is like what you can have. Have a good one. Thanks. If you'd like to support my activism and access exclusive content, please consider becoming a Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon member. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.